11 unluckiest people of all time. When ill luck begins, it does not come in sprinkles but in showers. Very true by Mark Twain. Having a bad luck in a particular scenario makes you lose hope, and most of the people give up, whereas some are being showered by bad luck whoever they are, wherever they are. This video here is to show you a few unlucky people, though some of them end up being lucky in the end. Surviving death time and again may be lucky, but getting caught up in death incidents again and again may not be a lucky thing. It might definitely be sending shivers down your spine. Be sure to subscribe viral now so that you do not miss on the interesting stuff we have for you. Adolphe Sax, the famous musician and inventor of the saxophone, tops our list of unlucky people. Over his life, Sax has been through many death experiences. Plato once said, "Music gives soul to the universe." You may agree that how the universe was protecting its soul when you learn about Sax. During infancy, while learning to stand, Sax fell off 3 stories and hit his head on a stone. His family thought he died, but no, he survived. At the age of 3, he drank a bowl of sulfuric acid, mistaking it for a bowl of milk. He swallowed a metal pen and was scalded badly by an exploding gunpowder barrel. He once fell on a red-hot cast iron skillet and burned his face. At one instance, a cobblestone fell off the roof and landed on his head, and he just shagged it away. And on another occasion, he nearly escaped drowning in a river. Sax's mother was famous for saying, "He's a child condemned to misfortune. He won't live." But Sax survived to invent the saxophone. Roy Sullivan was a park ranger at Shenandoah National Park. He was hit by lightning 7 times between 1942 and 1977. Surprisingly, he survived all of them, giving him nicknames such as Human Lightning Conductor and Human Lightning Rod. He is also recognized by Guinness Book of World Records for a person to survive the most number of lightning hits. What made him unlucky? Let's have a look. He was hiding from a thunderstorm in a lookout tower when the tower caught fire. Sullivan ran out of it, and at the moment he was out, he got struck by lightning. On another occasion, while driving his truck on a mountain road, he should have been safe, but unluckily, having a window opened welcomed the lightning to hit his head after deflecting off a tree. On another occasion, while patrolling, he saw the clouds form, so he drove away to a distance he thought to be safe. The moment he walked out of his truck, bang! Another lightning struck him. Whereas on one instance, he was struck while working in his backyard, and on another instance, he was hit by lightning while fishing. Was it all coincidence or fate? Melanie Martinez. Living along the Gulf Coast might be really problematic, especially in the monsoons or stormy seasons. You must be ready for some sorts of loss or destruction. When you are living in such a place, you must be well prepared for what could be coming your way. Your vehicles could be damaged, your house could be destroyed, but having your house destroyed by hurricanes 5 times isn't really a good idea, is it? Well, meet Melanie Martinez from Louisiana, who lost 4 houses to hurricanes, as to Betsy in 1965, Hurricane Juan in 1985, Hurricane George in 1998, Hurricane Katrina in 2005. The reality TV show Hideous Houses planned for a makeover for her 5th house, that too in Louisiana, as Melanie did not want to move out from her hometown, but Hurricane Isaac took that one down too in 2012. Very, very unlucky. Violet Jessop. You all must have heard of the Titanic and its sister ships, Olympic and Britannic. Well, they all had one thing in common, and that is Violet Jessop. Violet served as a stewardess at the Olympic First, which collided with the HMS Hawk. Both ships dealt considerable damage. However, there were no casualties, and the ships made it back to the port. After that, she was called up for the Titanic, which in the midst of its journey hit an iceberg, and the ship sank in 2 hours, killing almost 1,500 people. But Violet managed to get into a lifeboat and saved her life. The 3rd incident was met by the Britannic, who was thought to have run over a mine planted by the Germans during the World War. The ship began sinking quickly, killing around 30 people. So you can imagine how unlucky Violet would have been for the people on board. Largent L. Largent L was a French astronomer in the 18th century. Unlike today's astronomers who have observatories built far off but have ease of access to travel and communicate, astronomers in the 18th century had to face war zones, stormy seas, and deadly tropical diseases. Largent L has one story of ill luck attached to him. He was part of the international project for measuring the distance to the sun by observing the transit of Venus at different points on Earth. The transit was due in 1761, and Largent Largent L set for Pondicherry in India, but he learned that the British had occupied it from the French, so he went to Mauritius to wait for the next transit that was set to happen 8 years later. After the long wait came to an end, Largent L arrived in Pondicherry in 1768 and built an observatory. 4th June 1769 was the day the transit had to occur, but surprisingly, the cloud became overcast, and all his 11 years went wasted as he returned to Paris in 1771. In Paris, his wife had remarried, his property was taken by relatives, and his membership of the Royal Academy of Science was replaced as everyone back in Paris thought him to be dead. Such could also be the story of luck. C Lac. C Lac is a man from Croatia who has escaped death several times, which makes him lucky. However, the incident he meets are quite unlucky. The first incident happened when he was on a train that got derailed, drowning almost 17 people as it crashed in an icy river. The following year, C Lac was on a plane which was about to land when a door, which was malfunctioning, opened and the plane crashed, killing 19 people. However, C Lac landed on a haystack, which saved his life. After that, he was riding on a bus when it skidded off and fell into a river. C Lac saved himself by swimming out. After that, he got caught up in 3 car accidents, 2 of them causing fire and 1 in which he managed to get out, whereas his car fell into a gorge. Man, he has been unlucky with transportations of all sorts. Though he won a lottery after all incidents, he probably was alive for his lottery win. Robert Todd Lincoln. Robert was a politician and a lawyer and the son of the famous Abraham Lincoln. He was unlucky for most of the U.S. presidents as he witnessed the death of 3. Thinking of himself to be bad luck for presidents, he refrained from attending invitations sent by presidents afterward. The first assassination was his very own father, Abraham Lincoln, and Robert was just in a building close by. The second assassination was of James Garfield, and Robert Lincoln had just left the premises after meeting the president. The third assassination was that of William McKinley, who had invited Robert Todd. Kinley was shot that very day, and Robert was present at the premises at the time. He seemed to be really unlucky for the presidents as he around or present when all the incidents took place. Fred Haise. Fred Haise became a NASA astronaut in 1966 and was on the backup crews for the Apollo 8 and Apollo 11 moon missions. During his mission on Apollo 13, an oxygen tank exploded and crippled their spaceship. The astronauts miraculously made it back to Earth alive, but the explosion meant they were unable to walk on the moon. He then served as Apollo 16 backup commander, which put him in line to command Apollo 19, but unfortunately this mission was canceled due to budget cuts. If any Apollo astronaut was destined not to walk on the moon, then Fred Haise was that unlucky astronaut, being so close to the moon and yet not being allowed to walk on it. Happens once in a life. This man is unlucky. Vlad Kozaku. Vlad was a graceful artist and a performer at a circus. He was called the Fire Eater as much of his tricks revolved around him playing with fire. He carried a flammable liquid along which was used to increase the fire when spat out. One day he accidentally swallowed some of the liquid, and the moment he brought the fire torch close to his mouth, there was an explosion, and most of Vlad's body was vaporized. The people began applauding as they thought it to be part of the performance, but they became silent upon realizing what really happened. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. Some may consider him lucky as he survived 2 nuclear bomb attacks, whereas some may consider him unlucky as he had 2 nuclear bombs dropped at him. Yamaguchi was an engineer and at a business trip to Hiroshima when the first bomb was dropped just 3 kilometers away from where Yamaguchi was. Fearful, he hid at night and traveled back the next day to his house in Nagasaki, where another bomb dropped the very next day as he was describing the whole story of Hiroshima to his supervisor. The blast happened 3 kilometers apart too. Seems like the bombs had been chasing Yamaguchi. 11. Jayne Rodgers. You may wonder on how this woman still lives on and on. She once fell from a ship into the water when feet slipped on board. She was struck by lightning twice, had been beaten by her husband. She even got attacked by muggers and bats. Upon being asked whether she was scared of death, she replied, "I am not afraid of dying, but I am afraid of living." Some of these stories may seem to be fictions and some may be non-fiction. Some may sound to be coincidences, whereas some stories are based on what fate has decided for you. Being lucky is hard and being unlucky is even harder. But if you get caught up in bad luck once, you will be more prone to ill fate. These were some of the unluckiest people who died or had people aside from them dead, but they survived. Who do you think was the unluckiest? Let us know by commenting below.